Friday morning. Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is Jeremy coming at you once again with Redtired Podcast, and I'm joined today by none other than Texas exile, future proud South Carolinian, Jacob Valdez. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning. It is crazy, man. One day we decide not to do the podcast, and a lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting time because, kids being home, being off of school, blah, 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 et cetera, random generic excuse after another. It's been fun. I even missed 2 days in a row at the gym. It was New Year's Eve.
That's not like you.
I know. Well, so the gym closed early, New Year's Eve day. It closed at like 4:00. And that was the night before, or that was the day before. That was the day after I took a spill. I even posted this little thing on my Facebook describing the whole situation, but I just made my salad, and it was my dinner, had some chicken in it. Like it was a legit salad, right? And I had to step into the other room. Well, we have this baby gate there that we keep, where we keep between this one door frame in the hallway so that the cats have their own little section, and then the dogs can't get in there and eat their food, whatever. So I step over the baby gate, and my left foot catches this baby gate just at the perfect angle, and it trips me, and I fall and I land hard. Now on my flooring, it's just a little bit of wood right over concrete, and so it's solid. And I hit hard, and my left knee and my left elbow is still bugging me.
Did you do like a wrestling move mid-fall?
Oh man, no, I didn't even see it coming. And I was trying, like my go-to was like, I got to save my dinner. So I hit the floor, but this giant
You can take my life, but not my salad.
That's right. Okay, food is life here. And actually, we're going to talk about food today. But so my salad bowl hits the ground. Now it's a metal bowl, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But the salad just like flies up into the air, and I'm thinking like, oh God, not my salad, right? Well, most of it comes back down and lands in the bowl. A little bit of it comes out of the bowl, and the dogs immediately come over and start cleaning up my mess. So that was the positive side. The negative side was my left elbow and my left
the people's elbows injured.
Oh man. I'm not going to be doing any wrestling moves anytime soon. So I missed the next day at the gym, and then they didn't open for New Year's Day. So I missed 2 days in a row. Excuses, I know.
Yeah, I saw you posted it, and everyone was posting these wrestling memes on Facebook. That was pretty hilarious.
It was hilarious. That flare flop, that one nailed it. I nailed it. Shout out, Dustin. Yeah. So how long has it been since you've been to the gym?
A while.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I had to end all my subscriptions and all that here. Move.
Yeah, that's true. You're getting ready to move, so.
Yeah, but my new place comes with the gym.
Really? Wow, that's cool. So you don't have to pay for it. It's not an additional
it's part
cost.
of the HOA. Yeah.
Oh, you live in an HOA. We'll get into those another day. So here we got to talk about this big deal. We've got the Benghazi of 2019 actually occurring. Actually, no, would it be 2020 when this occurred? Yeah. And Donald Trump has got his own Benghazi. We'll put it that way. So I poured a couple sources today, and I saw some interesting stuff in there. We need to talk about this because we're kind of on the cusp of potential war with Iran. That's kind of a big deal. So from The Guardian, the U.S. kills Iran General Qasem Soleimani. Probably butchered that. Don't care. He's dead. What's he going to do? Beat me up? In a strike ordered by Donald Trump. Donald Trump ordered an airstrike that killed Iran's most powerful general in the early hours of Friday at a dramatic escalation of an already bloody struggle between Washington and Tehran for influence across the region. Soleimani, we're going to go with that. Soleimani was hit by the drone strike while local allies from the Popular Mobilization Forces, PMF, drove him from Baghdad airport. I can't talk yet this morning. The de facto leader of the PMF, Abu Mahdi al-Mohandas, a close Soleimani associate, was also killed in the attack. General Soleimani was actively developing plans to attack American diplomats and service members in Iraq throughout the region, a Pentagon statement said, and this strike was aimed at deterring future Iranian attack plans. Minutes before the announcement, Trump tweeted the U.S. flag without comment. Later, the White House put out a statement saying that the strike was a decisive defensive action carried out at the direction of the president. The Iranian president, Hassan Rouhani, said that in a statement, Soleimani's martyrdom, I'm going to address that one in a minute, martyr. Soleimani's martyrdom will make Iran more decisive to resist America's expansionism and to defend our Islamic values. With no doubt, Iran and other freedom-seeking countries in the region will take his revenge. Let's stop right there for just a second. Iran, a freedom-seeking country?
I didn't know they had values.
That's a strange idea. So Iran is already spinning this whole thing, right? Martyrdom. You know what a martyr is?
Yeah, it's when you make someone famous after you kill them and kind of make them into this idea.
Kind of. Martyrdom is actually when you murder somebody because of their beliefs. So, say the Armenian genocide where millions of Christians were killed. I think it was millions. That was a martyrdom. Okay, they were being killed because they were Christians, right? Take the obvious Hitler example where he killed 6 million Jews. All of those
that's
Jews,
genocide, though.
That's genocide, but it's also a martyr ideology, right? Mm-hmm. Or martyr by definition. He's killing them because of their race, but also because of their beliefs, right? So because he viewed them as inferior and blah, blah, blah. But they were still being martyred for their beliefs. So martyr is murder, but because you believe in something. So what Iran is saying here is you killed one of our generals because of what he believes. That's Iran's perspective, right? Now I'm going to pull back and I'm going to say, wait a minute. You guys were attacking us in Iraq. We retaliated. We killed you because you tried to kill us. Therefore, he's not a martyr. He just happens to be part of the collateral damage from the airstrike. So there's already two ways that this thing is going to get spun in the media, but it gets better. So let's continue now that we've defined martyrdom. All right. Iran's foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, said on Twitter that the U.S. act of international terrorism targeting and assassinating General Soleimani, the most effective force fighting Daesh, ISIS, al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, et al., is extremely dangerous and a foolish escalation. The U.S. bears responsibility for its consequences of its rogue adventurism. Tehran's Lebanon-based ally Hezbollah has also promised to avenge the killing. In Iraq, Hadi al-Ameri, an Iran ally and the head of the paramilitary Badr organization, called on all Iraqi factions to expel foreign troops. No Iranian official detailed what type of retaliation was being planned or for when. Washington and its regional allies, Israel and Saudi Arabia, who also see Tehran as an arch foe, all brace for potential reprisals. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because of course we have to take a perspective on this in the United States, right? Of course we do. The U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden said Trump had, quote, tossed a stick of dynamite into a tinderbox. His fellow Democratic hopefuls Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders warned that the attack could spark a disastrous new war for the Middle East. So
okay, first of all, let's rewind back. If people are not wondering why we attacked this general, it's because of our embassy. Our embassy was attacked. It wasn't like we went and sought out a fight. It was just, like, hey, we're retaliating, and God forbid, as of right now, there is no deaths or injuries reported. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But, still, if there were evidence, it's not like, people are just going to say, oh, let's bomb this guy. He's in the area. No, there was a lot of thought and a lot of evidence gathering from both the DIA, probably Defense Intelligence Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, and all these other 3-letter words or 4-letter word alphabet organizations. They know what they're doing. It's not like, let's get this guy. No, they know he's been there. He's probably, probably American trained, especially the way he's operating in Iraq. That's the United States all over it. doctrine right there and how we operate. Turning allies into to enemies.
Yeah, well, people often forget that we were once over there training the Iraqi military, and they were going to get ready to attack Iran. We were. I mean, there's been war in the Middle East for as long as I've been alive. This is nothing new, and but to have what really brings my piss to a boil is we're going to have all these Democrats come out and say that, well, Trump is stirring the pot. Like, excuse me, we just got attacked. Like, okay, we don't take the same. This is not a Clinton playbook where we're just going to sit back and watch what happens. No, we're going to make sure that American lives are saved.
That's because they have money there.
I don't care. At what cost, right? At what cost?
Mm-hmm. They don't care about American lives.
And that's what it's becoming. It's becoming very evident that that we're kowtowing and we're pandering to other cultures and other countries in other regions. And like, why are we so afraid of Iran? Why are they afraid? Well, Iran's got nukes. No kidding. So do we. What else you got? Mm-hmm. Russia's got nukes too. Northern Korea's got Iran. North Korea's got nukes. Who doesn't have?
I think
nukes?
It's because everyone is so scared of the Cold War repeating. And to be honest, Jeremy, and this is our first time if we do escalate to a full blown operation war, another addendum to the global war on terrorism. It's the first time we'll ever go with a country with nuclear arms.
Well, and that may be so, but.
And I think that's what people are scared of. Not me in as an individual. I'm not very afraid of. I don't think I would be if I was still serving. But I think other people that don't understand the doctrine of war are feared for because, they have nukes. Who cares? Eventually, we're and if it's not going to happen now, it's going to happen in the future. That eventually America was going to go after someone else or retaliate from another country that just pushes America too far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's where we're kind of drawing the line in the sand here when it comes to the political ideologies or the two different factions, if you will, that run rampant in Washington. Well, the only reason they take this stance, I guarantee you, the only reason they're taking this stance is because it was under Trump's watch.
Yep. No, if it was Obama,
yeah, I'm sure that go question Joe Biden. Here's my challenge for anybody in the media. Go question Joe Biden on Obama and Hillary and that cabinet. Go question them on the response to Benghazi. Mm-hmm. How quickly have we forgotten about Benghazi already? How many people did we lose because we just laid down and let it happen? There's a QRF, a quick reaction force, that's actually specifically designed for these kinds of things. They sent in 100 Marines almost right off the bat, and then they sent in, I think it was the 82nd Airborne. Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to, you don't understand. We're not just going to lay down and take it. That's not how we do business.
They just want to roll over and show their belly.
That's it. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest that, maybe we don't need to be in Iraq anymore. Maybe we don't need to be over there, maintaining some kind of stability in the region. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not I don't have all the decisions.
Well, you remember we tried to leave them alone, and that's where the birth of ISIS came from.
Yeah.
And we had to go back.
Yeah. It was a cluster from the beginning. And you and I don't get the same intelligence handed to us that Trump does. We just don't. Mm-hmm. And so we're not getting all the information. We're not privy to all the information. So we just have to trust that he's making the right decisions. And in this case, American lives were saved and we were attacked. And there needs to be a standard set across the board where you understand, if you attack us, I will attack you back.
One thing I understand about Trump now is, and I'm glad that I voted for him, and the reason why is, he's not a man about war. He's doing this because, we were punched in the face first. If you remember earlier in his presidency, he wanted to withdraw us from there because he's all about saving America's money and interest.
Yeah.
So this is probably something that it was given to him and be like, you know what? All right, if we don't take care of this now, it's just going to get worse.
And some people in the media have been saying that this is just distraction, that they're just trying, like Trump is just trying to distract from the impeachment crap.
I don't think he cares.
I don't either, because it's made him more popular than ever. Mm-hmm. He's taking in what was it, like $46 million worth of donations just since the impeachment trial started. Mm-hmm. That tells you something. People know. People aren't stupid. They can see through this. Now, there's always going to be stupid wherever you go. Not everybody can see through this, but America's tired of it. The political agenda, the partisan lines, we're tired of it all. It needs to stop.
I do like how CNN right now, I'm just looking at how it says Trump commits to a risky conflict. Who cares? Everything has risk.
Well, I mean, that's like saying, CNN reporting live outside, the sky turns out that it's blue today. We were expecting some white billowy clouds, but apparently there's just not going to be. Oh, there's one right there. That's your reporting level at this point, CNN. Shut up. Mm-hmm. Deep breath. So let's, my 2 cents, I don't know how to put it any other way. I think that, you attack us, we attack you back. That's kind of the way that we do business here. And you and I both understand that we don't just lay down and take things. And, this isn't Obama. This is the era of Trump. And
this is like in the schoolyard, man. If I get punched in the face or something happens like that to my son, the one thing I'm going to teach him is like, don't look for the fight, but always defend yourself.
Yep. Never just lay down and take it, because the more you take it, mm-hmm. the worse it's going to get. Defend yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You might get some bumps, some scrapes and bruises. Might happen. You might move the wrong way and trip over a dog gate. That might happen. Get up, brush yourself off.
But I do like his reaction, how he revved up the Marines to go there and support them. And also I like how he got the QRF spun up here in America, which was 82nd, and now they're mm-hmm. on their way there. See, that's what we needed in Benghazi. Yep.
Not lay down and take it. That stuff is mm-hmm. So let's move on from politics, because we really don't want to focus on politics. We don't want to focus on negative stuff, but we do have to talk about what's going on. We got to cover current events, and this is a big one. But moving forward, Jacob, told you a little bit about this before we started the podcast. Everybody and their mom is excited about this documentary that's on Netflix called The Game Changer. You heard of it?
Mm-hmm. Seen it.
Yeah. And the concept behind The Game Changers documentary is you got to go plant-based. You have to eat plant-based. Okay. Clearly there's a little bit of an agenda here. Now let's draw some lines in the sand before we get too deep into this. One major line that I need to draw in the sand is it's a documentary by James Cameron. Now, you're a filmmaker, student type. Who's James Cameron?
Oh, man. He's an actor, director, story writer, but he is also a liberal.
Well, he's also very, very well known for producing lots and lots of movies.
Of hits. Yeah. He did Avatar, Titanic.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the first civilians to go all the way to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's before we even jump into this movie, one of James Cameron's ultimate goals here is to make movies that make money.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we have to bear that in mind.
Yes, he has to please the producers and the executive producers. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know this. Executive producers and producers are the people who front the money.
Mm-hmm. They're the guys that make the whole thing happen. So if he doesn't make a movie that makes money, then, he kind of hurts his reputation. So you have to bear in mind, with all the things that we're about to talk about with the Game Changers documentary, you have to bear in mind that his ultimate goal is to make money. Okay. And it's working, because it's been a very, very popular movie. It wasn't hard to find on Netflix. It's been a #1 bestseller on iTunes. Like, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, right? So let's break this down. The documentary, what it does is it attempts to solidify points very early on, actually, in the film, to push you into the vegan methods, the vegan ideologies, and there's some misleading stuff that takes place. So, what it starts out, the film starts out with an injured MMA fighter who claims to transition from a heavy protein diet to more of a plant-based diet in an attempt to try to heal his injuries faster. The MMA fighter we're talking about, his name is James Wilkes. And basically they follow him while he travels the world and tries to find different athletes that, but just doing research about plant-based diets. And he discusses veganism with several different people, with the likes of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, a power lifter named Patrick Boubian, whatever. I can't pronounce that guy's name. Dotsie Bausch and Scott Jurek, which, by the way, Scott Jurek, we're going to talk a little bit about. This guy was really impressive. So the first point I want to draw here is the film makes this claim early on that Roman gladiators were vegetarians, and that was deduced by the measurement of the level of an element called strontium in their bones. All right. So they cut open some of these old bones that they've gotten from these Roman gladiators, and they're looking at it under a microscope, and they're looking for all these different elements to find out basically what these guys ate. Well, that makes sense, right? All right, cool. There would be some form of suggestion there that could provide evidence for their diets, right? Only there's a problem. So when you look at bones, when you take these bones and you break them down and you look at them under a microscope, well, you start finding this element of strontium, it suggests that these guys lived on like a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet or a largely plant-based diet, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the suggestion. However, the very study that they cited, if you actually go in and read more of the study, you'll find out that there's some issues that arise. And one of those issues is that the bones that these guys dug up, these bones, they were buried in the earth, right? Just right there in the dirt. What happens when you've got something that's buried in the dirt?
It starts decomposing.
Well,
it starts turning into, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but I'm guessing starts turning into nutrients and everything for other plants that are in the dirt.
Okay, now you're hitting it there. So
yeah,
you have all these nutrients that are in the dirt, grass. Do you think maybe the grass or leaves or anything else that hits the dirt or maybe decays or kind of trickles down into the dirt over time could also provide that same element of strontium in the body? Because these bones have been exposed to all of these elements over about a 2,000-year period.
Mm-hmm. Let me correct you there real quick. It was actually not directed by him. It was directed by Louis Felisov. I'm probably butchering his last name, but it was produced by James Cameron. So it was his money. Same with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, Lewis Hamilton, Novak Djokovic, Chris Paul, Joseph Pace, James Wilkes. Those are all the guys that put money into this documentary. So they want the outcome what they wanted, which was what you're discussing. So I just sorry to interrupt you there.
Well, that's okay, because I didn't say that it was directed, did I?
Oh, okay. Well, when you said it was by, usually when people say this film by, it's usually directed by. Sorry.
All right. Semantics and Google by Jacob. Thanks, everybody. Moving forward. So you have these bones, right? They're exposed to all this strontium over time. And so it would suggest that there's a possibility that all of these bones being exposed to this element, that they would eventually absorb. So that study, the same study that they cited, they left that part out of the study. So there's really actually no evidence one way or the other that leads to that. So that's one of the issues that I took there, because I actually went back and checked on these things myself, right? Because my wife and I, we watched it, and she's like, "Man, maybe we should switch to a plant-based diet." And I'm like, "Wait. You don't make a decision like that just because you watched a documentary. We need to like look at this, under a deeper level. We need to take the microscope to this and actually check all this stuff out." So To get a true accurate reading of the element of strontium, did I say strontium? I meant strontium. Sorry. To get a true accurate reading of that element of strontium in the body, but with it being exposed to that element for hundreds and hundreds of years, means that you can't get a true correct reading. Okay, so that's a big problem. And this study actually that they cited actually concluded that the gladiators were what's called heterogeneous, meaning that they ate many different types of foods. And so that's a pretty dishonest move. That's point number one. Thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, they're just choosing and nitpicking a science method. They're just picking whatever fits their beliefs and what they want people to kind of just follow, you know. Matter of fact, it's funny because while you're saying that, I found out that Joe Rogan during his podcast talked to all those guys, and he said he found out that they use B12 from livestock.
Yeah, that was a
so it's not even true.
There was a different issue altogether about the absorption of B12 that the documentary was a little bit disingenuous about, but you kind of have to watch the whole thing for yourself. Point number two, and this is actually something I found very amazing, was the story about Scott Jurek. This guy was a runner, and he decided to run the entire Appalachian Trail in 46 days. Whoa. You remember this guy, right? So he's essentially going to do this marathon run all the way up the Appalachian Trail. That's 2,200 miles. That's a lot of running. And to do it in 46 days. Now, for context, we actually talked about this not too long ago after we came back from the Appalachian Trail convention.
Gathering.
Yeah. And it takes, some guys 6-7 months to do this Appalachian Trail. And this guy's going to do it in a month and a half. That's amazing. Okay. So I gotta give credit where credit is due. He's a super thin, super skinny guy, but he looks like a marathon runner. There's nothing to him. He's like a toothpick. So this guy, he claims that a lot of his strength, it's actually derived from a plant-based diet. Okay. I have no problem with that. He found a diet that works for him. He's a marathon runner. Those two things kind of go hand in hand. You really don't want to carry a whole lot of mass with you. So you really do want to avoid a lot of excess building of muscles.
It's easier on the joints too, because it's less weight.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
and the trail's not people. I'm telling you guys, me and Jeremy did a little portion of it looking for someone, unfortunately, but it's not pavement.
No.
So get that out of your mind, listeners. It's not a pavement. There's not one pavement section unless you're crossing the street, but it is raw dirt and rocks. And
it takes a lot of, it can take a lot out of you. You take
your joints too.
One good slip and you bust your ankle or something. And that's something that actually happened to this Scott Jurek guy. But that's off topic. So the issue that I took there is we've got a claim that, all right, he's going to be solely a plant-based diet guy. Okay. That's fine. But to claim that the plant-based diet is what gives you consistent strength, it's kind of like, duh, that's actual science, but it's also a subjective ideology. It's a subjective claim because everybody's different. And so my body, it doesn't process things quite the same way that yours does. My mind doesn't even work the same way that yours does. We're not universal. We as people, we're not universal. So what may work well for me as far as like a certain type of a complex carbohydrate for attaining more energy in the gym, well, it might be kind of prohibiting towards you. But they also use another concept in the movie that's actually not true about protein, meat specifically, being an energy source. So it's not that simple. Because proteins and carbohydrates and fats can all be used as an energy source.
Energy, yep.
Right? So your body may absorb fats in a much different way than mine do and burn for energy much more efficiently than mine does. So this is an anecdotal claim, and anecdotal evidence is not evidence. Thoughts?
No, you're right. Because, just like if me and you ate the same diet, I have more risk for pancreatitis than you, and there you go. My body's different because it processes food differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as in just like a whole lot of different people. That's why if you do this correctly and don't, I hope people just don't watch this documentary and go straight plant-based diet and just to live a healthier life. See your doctor, see your primary care, get a DNA test. Your DNA will tell you, and just blood work alone will tell you what kind of diet is best fitted for you as an individual. Because again, Jeremy's right. We're all different. We all do different types of things. We all, our body processes different, even just thought itself. Jeremy probably learns better listening than he would be reading.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with with the food intake. So it's all energy being intake being put into your body, so it all breaks down different ways. And it's just because again, we're different. We're probably from different regions of the world. If you actually do a DNA test and see where you're from, some people that were their ancestry is from England will process food differently because how they were brought up. Like me, my genes go all the way back to Spain. My food, that all plays into effect. That's real science.
Mm-hmm. And it takes time for an adaptation like this to actually be effective. You can adapt to a different style of eating. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's risky to just tell people like you just need to stop doing what you're doing and start doing this. Well,
yeah, because it can be dangerous.
That's reckless. Yeah. All right. So let's move forward in my notes because I still have a lot to cover and we're already halfway through. So point number 3, moving forward, one of the things that I came to is a scene where they discuss the endothelial function. Okay. So I'm going to describe that. So you're like, well, what is he talking about? You don't have to Google it. I got it right here. And so the endothelium is a thin membrane that lines the inside of the heart and the blood vessels. So endothelial cells, they release a substance that control the vascular relaxation and the contraction, as well as enzymes that control blood clotting, immune function, and platelet adhesion. Okay, so in other words, the endothelial membrane, what it does, its job is to expand and contract during different functions of the body. So if you're in the gym, right, and you're hitting it and you get your muscle, like your muscles need more oxygen and your heart rate's getting up, then the function of your endothelial membrane is to expand to allow blood to flow faster through the body, to replace the oxygen, to replace all of the, you get the point, right? Okay, so what the movie does is it makes this argument that animal fat impairs the endothelial function, but plant fat does not. This is partially correct. There's some plant fats that can also actually impair the endothelial function, it's disingenuous to claim that plant-based fats will never impair the endothelial function. Okay, so fat, it's not just fat is fat. There's good fats and there's bad fats. So you got to go digging a whole lot deeper in this, and you can't just say plant fat good, animal fat bad, because that's a universal statement again, and it doesn't apply universally. Tracking? All right. So next point, number 4 is I got to give credit because there's a fair bit of honesty on this one. So what they do at this point is there's a very unscientific test that they administered to 3 men. All right. And the purpose of this test, cover your kids' ears for anybody who doesn't want to hear their kids to hear about this part, because this has to do with male anatomy. You've been warned. Okay. So this test, what they do is in an unscientific process, they take this tool and they wrap it around the male genitalia. And these men, they're supposed to sleep with this apparatus on their genitals. And what it does is it measures erections throughout the night, how strong they were, how often they occurred, that kind of thing, right? And then on night number 1, they gave them a meat-based diet for dinner. On night number 2, they gave them a plant-based diet for dinner. And then they compared the results. Again, it's very unscientific because they're just like, okay, now you eat this and now you eat that, and we're going to draw conclusions. The movie even says it's not a scientific test. And the next day, after they've done these tests, after they've gone through the sleep process and everything, they've got this was your erectile function on the meat-based diet, and this is your erectile function on the plant-based diet. And they found that through this test, the function of the male anatomy was much more proficient on a plant-based diet. This is true. It's actually there's actually a lot of studies that provide evidence that cholesterol numbers can be linked to erectile dysfunction. And you can look up those studies for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. But there's plenty of studies out there that indicate that this can be true. But anyway, the film, what it does is it measures those 2 nights, compares them the next scene, and it shows substantial increase, if you will, in both the circumference and also substantial increase in the amount of erections that took place. So their unscientific consensus on this is that if you eat more vegetables, you're going to have better erectile function. I'm not going to debate that because it's true, and there's nothing really more needs to be said about the male anatomy. Questions?
No.
Okay. I knew you didn't have a whole lot of questions about that part. Being a male yourself, I'm sure you've had some experience in that. Point number 5. They had a U.S. Olympic team coach. His name was Scott Stoll, and he appears next to make a point about protein and where it's derived from. He says that plants can provide protein as well as animal products, which is true. You can obtain lots of protein through plant products. And we're told that you want to minimize animal proteins and maximize plant source proteins. This is also true for any person who's trying to lose weight, especially. You want your plate to look as vegetable covered as possible with only a minor amount of meats. This is so anybody who's been in a gym for 30 seconds, they know this. This is nothing new, right? And so anybody who's ever consulted with a dietitian, anybody who's ever worked with a personal trainer, they all know this. Lots and lots of vegetables on the plate, less animal proteins and more plant proteins. And this is not a shocking revelation. This is nothing new. However, to go back to the original point of the film, to convert people to veganism, this is not an argument to become a vegan. Do you see the issue there? All right. This is getting easier and easier as I go along. I'm just debunking. All right. Point number 6. Finally, we come to a part in the movie where there's actual evidence cited. James Wilkes, the MMA fighter that we talked about earlier in the movie, his father actually suffers a heart attack, and they travel to meet him and discuss some different methods of eating. And his father, who lives in an area with where a horrendous diet is basically a cultural thing, lots and lots of animal proteins and really not real.
Again, it goes back to your region. If you live in the South, you can eat more fried food, or depending on the South, if you eat Texas barbecue, I can go on forever.
Yeah. And in their case, they're actually from Europe.
Oh yeah. So they're heavy on the meats there.
Yeah. I mean, dude, think about Germany. Wiener Schnitzel. Yep. Hello.
Yeah.
That stuff is amazing, by the way.
Yeah. More lamb based, but
delicious.
Still meat.
But highly processed meat. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I'll get into that in just a second. But so his father lives in England. Diet is horrendous, and it's kind of a cultural thing. And so at this point, the movie starts to show some actual evidence, some actual citations to some actual studies that suggest that switching to a plant-based diet can have a huge effect on one's health, including repairing damage caused by a fatty diet and also reversing heart disease. Now, this is true. So if you're in a situation where heart disease or you've got some plaque built up in the arteries, the quickest and easiest and most effective way to combat that through foods is to switch to a plant-based diet, even if for a season. or drastically lower your meat intake and your dairy intake and try to live off of like a plant-based diet for a season. That's not debated. There's scientific consensus all over on that. There's lots of studies that have been done on that. It's a no-brainer. If you want to, protect the heart and clean out the arteries, eat lots more vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's debating that. Now comes the fun part. So now we get a little bit more of the, we're going to say, hey, look over there, but we're not actually giving you the full evidence. But look, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yay!
That's magician work.
Yep.
Right there.
Sleight of hand.
Yep.
So Schwarzenegger comes in and reveals that he's been eating a much more plant-based
Listen
diet.
to me, I'm the Terminator.
Yeah, the Governator responds. Get down!
How many heart attacks has that guy had?
I don't know. Has he had any?
Yeah, he has.
Really?
Yeah, that's what's funny. When I watched it, I was like, okay.
Well, I tell you what. I think I know why he's had so many heart attacks. Now, Arnold in the movie actually cites that he was trying to get about 250 grams of protein per day. Now, this is a long-term diet, right? In his younger age, he needed to build as much muscle as he could. He was into bodybuilding and in fitness and whatnot. So, yeah, he needed a lot of protein. And at that time, the understanding was the more protein, the better. Well, let's rewind a little bit and look at some of the years past. As far as I know, we didn't actually have egg whites available to us on the same scale that we actually have today. You can go and buy a carton full of egg whites. It's no big deal. So Arnold used to eat 18 eggs a day. That's a lot of eggs. Okay. But in the film, Arnold comes in and he reveals that he's been eating a much more plant-based diet. And now his blood lipids are down. Well, duh, Arnold. He's healthier now than he was when he was consuming 18 eggs a day. Well, duh, Arnold. So he also said, here's the thing. You're not supposed to eat 18 eggs a day. We all know that, right? The average, that's not the average individual either. We're also talking about somebody who's burning a lot of fat and a lot of carbs in the gym. This guy spends 3, 4, 5 hours in the gym a day in his prime. Hello? So he's burning all that stuff off. So that being said, all right, now you're not supposed to eat 18 eggs a day. I've covered that. All right. Now, my suggestion to the governor would be like, hey, yo, eat some egg whites, dude. Come on.
I was about to say that.
But what he never says in the movie is that he's a vegan or a vegetarian strictly. He does not say that. It's only implied that he is. Okay. So there's another issue that I take with the movie. He does eat less animal products. He admits that, but he also doesn't admit that he's taking anything.
Yeah, he went fully over the vegan side.
Yeah, he's not a vegan. He just hasn't done it. So thanks for your cameo, Arnold. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're still alive, and I'm glad that your blood work is looking great, but you didn't serve a purpose in the film otherwise.
No, he didn't. He was just an actor's face. That's all. Look who I could afford.
Yeah, because what's going to happen when people see this is they're going to go, oh, hey, Jacob, did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is vegan? Oh, my gosh. But reality sets in. He never said that. He never claimed to be a vegan. He said he eats a lot more vegetables and his blood looks better. Blood lipid count. Duh.
My lipids will look better if I just ate nothing but plants.
Oh, yeah, they look great. But it's not. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Here we go. Point number 8. Next, the film looks for the advertising mechanisms. So they point the finger at the meat industry for advertising and selling its product. So I didn't see that coming, did you? So what they don't tell you here is that there's a large consensus in the scientific realm around the foods that we eat. Nobody negates the importance of plants within the diet. Again, this is a simple rule of thumb here. It's just fill your plate with vegetables. That's it. It's really a simple rule, right? So advertising is not an evil endeavor. They're not doing anything wrong. They're supposed to be advertising. That's part of the process to sell your products. I don't know why advertising is always attacked for certain things. Years ago, there was a video or a movie called Super Size Me, and the movie Super Size Me actually did something very similar where they were talking about the advertising mechanisms and blah blah blah. And one of their chief complaints was that products like Coca-Cola and M&Ms and Mars and PepsiCo, they spend all this money on advertising. They're legally allowed to spend all this money on advertising, and it's no problem whatsoever. But then the chief complaint is that there's no advertising that's allowed for fruits and vegetables, and that's somehow kind of an ethical thing. It's like, I'm sorry, there's nothing wrong with advertising, period, for your product. If you look at advertising as if it's some kind of an ethical or moral dilemma, then what are you justifying for the fruits and vegetables? So you're supposed to have, do you want the government to step in and start advertising for fruits and vegetables? Is that what you're suggesting? Because therein you're wasting tax dollars on telling people things that they probably already know. Fruits and vegetables are better for you. We got that. No brainer. All right. Point number 9. Anything to add on that one?
No.
All right.
I have my bottom line I would like to share at the end.
Oh, you're definitely going to get a chance. Definitely going to get a chance. Point number 9. The next thing that they try to do is to convince us that climate protection is another reason for not eating meat. Oh, of course, the climate has to come into play, but I'm going to shoot this one down hard with a big old bunker buster missile. So there's some evidence to suggest that the reduction in greenhouse gases would take place in the event that people ate less meat. But let's also think about the other side. So the other side being, okay, so you got an ethical issue for some vegan types. You don't eat meat for ethical reasons. Fine. No problem with that. That's a you thing. That's not a me thing. Okay. Those who don't want to see animals slaughtered for food, I want you to think about something here. So if the whole world went vegan, then what do we do with all of these animals? Well, do we turn them loose? That might not be such a hot idea, actually, because if you think about this, in the event that we would turn all these animals loose, then you lose the population control that takes place on the farm. Okay? When you have all of these animals that are out there basically doing their own thing, they're becoming accustomed to the wild. Some of them are probably being killed off, so that destroys your ethical argument. But then further, a lot of them they're going to become wild, and then there will be a potential for overpopulation. Now, what happens when we overpopulate? Let's use Texas as an example here because we have a wild feral hog problem. What happens with all those wild hogs? They consume all
the plants,
other crops. So they're interfering with all of your vegetable intake. They thus raising the prices of certain vegetables or cottons or what have you, whatever it is. These things will eat anything, right? So we can't very well potentially turn these things loose. And so I have to kind of wonder here if you did turn these animals loose and they're out there still emitting greenhouse gases, that hasn't stopped. It doesn't change because they're in the wild. You're still going to have farting cows. That's just going to be a thing. And so you look at these greenhouse gas effects, and you're weighing the greenhouse gas effect against the farm itself and saying that the farm is to blame. Well, not exactly. It's actually the farting cow if you want to go that direction. But then you release all these animals into the wild, and then they begin populating and populating and populating. Before you know it, they're spreading like the wild feral hogs that we have issue with in Texas. And then you've got more of a greenhouse gas effect, don't you? So if you're going to take the vegan stance and look at it from an ethical perception, these meat eaters are actually kind of doing you a favor in preventing further greenhouse gas emissions. because we have to be honest about this. They're going to get out into the wild and they're eventually going to overpopulate. And then it's a problem that's out of our control. So the meat industry has actually done us a little bit of a favor in controlling the population of what would otherwise be wild animals out roaming around. And
yeah, you're just covering the cow. Imagine the chicken.
Yeah, or the pigs.
Yeah.
Wild turkeys. Yeah, wild turkeys are very destructive.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that again. You got that that pig population in Texas that's already an issue. You add all this other stuff into the mix, and they start migrating all over God knows where. And then the United States has this massive greenhouse gas effect that you're so worried about, but we can't go hunt them because that's unethical, and you should keep eating vegetarian or vegan, what have you. Okay, fine, interesting and whatnot, but as they raid the farms to eat the crops on the farm, the price of your food, Mr. Vegan, is going to increase. It's going to go up. So these guys are actually doing you a favor. Yeah, there's a little bit of a cruelty to animals argument that can be thrown out there for the veganism, but it just doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold weight, because what else are you going to do? You're just going to go ahead and kill all the farm animals in hopes that they don't overpopulate? Well, then there again, there's cruelty. Doesn't make sense. Point number 10. They had a scene where there was a bunch of what they called unhealthy firefighters. And I kind of appreciated this scene because it went back to the scientific consensus where if you eat more plant-based and less animal-based diet, you can lower your cholesterol, right? So in this firefighter scene, there's many unhealthy firefighters because of their dietary choices. They're left there for 24 hours at a time. They're on duty. A lot of times they go buy the hamburgers and they grill out while they're waiting for whatever to happen. And okay, fine, whatever. That's their dietary choices. So the filmmakers went out and challenged these firefighters who were in an unhealthy state to try a vegetarian-based diet for a period of, I think it was a week. Is that right?
Yeah, it's about a week. Sorry, I had to lower it because my son is acting crazy.
Oh, I see. Okay, no problem. So I think it was 1 week that they had to do it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But so what's crazy here is that some of the firefighters, they ended up dropping over 100 points off of their cholesterol accounts. Now that's amazing. Okay, that's great. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't suggest an argument for completely eliminating meat. It only suggests an argument for eating much more vegetables. So yes, increase your vegetable intake. By all means, eat vegetables. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't. What we're saying is meat is not the enemy. Vegetables are the friend. Okay. Now, again, don't go eating a steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. That's a no-brainer. There's lots and lots of fats and steaks. It should be a rarity. It should be, I'm not eating ribeyes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That would be crazy. Obviously with me, especially considering I have gout. And so, oh man, that would just be a huge mistake. Moving forward. Point number 11. Lastly, we look at the credits. The filmmakers showed us all this stuff in the credits, vegan alternatives, if you will. You can have vegan pizza. You can have vegan burgers, veggie meatballs, pancakes, all this other stuff. It looks kind of like the same food that you're consuming, but it's still highly processed foods. I got to make this point. Vegetarian junk food is still junk food.
Junk food, yep.
Doesn't matter. You don't get to reap the benefits of eating plants solely because what you're eating is vegan-based.
Fried lettuce is still fried lettuce.
But it's lettuce. Listen, refined carbohydrates, right? Artificial foods. Look at the cheeseburger from Burger King, right? What do they call it? The Impossible Burger. There's a lot of that thing's under a lot of scrutiny right now because there's a lot of articles that are coming out and saying like, well, it's not really much of a healthy or viable option. You pretty much getting all the same crap. It's not an actual. Yeah, it's made out of vegetables, but it's highly processed, and they have to go through this process to add a bunch of salt and fats and different things in it to make it actually seem like it's a hamburger. So it's still basically a hamburger. It's a Frankenstein version of a hamburger. But then so is the hamburger itself. It's still a Frankenstein form of meat. It's not in its whole pure form. And that's the key that we need to drive home here. Okay, because a lot of people are going to watch this movie and they're going to say some crap like, well, I ate the Impossible Burger from Burger King, so I made a healthier choice. No, you didn't. It's still salt and fat. Lots of it. Go read the articles. Don't take my word for it. It's still crap. It's still highly processed crap. So the key is simple. The key to a healthy diet is whole foods. Now, what does that mean? So let's say you're talking about your plant-based foods, right? So your plant-based diet, here's what you need to understand for adding plant-based foods to your diet. The first thing is your foods need to be fresh or they need to be frozen. That means don't go to Walmart and start stocking up on a bunch of canned green beans and a bunch of canned corn, because those things are loaded with preservatives. They're loaded with salts because they got to make them taste good, right? So this stuff
not just that, but the salt is used to preserve the vegetables and the meat. Just like, listeners, back in the Romans days, or even back in the days before fridges, that's what we did, was douse someone salt to preserve it.
Yep.
But that amount of salt is not healthy for us.
That's exactly right. So don't eat the crap out of the can. Buy the frozen stuff. It might be a little bit more expensive to eat the frozen stuff or the fresh stuff, but who cares? I mean, we're talking about your life, your health, your well-being here. I think if you can't afford to eat the frozen vegetables, and you need to get off of that damn $300 a month Verizon phone plan, you need to think about this.
Invest in yourself. And when we say invest in yourself, that's food included.
Yep. So frozen or fresh fruits and vegetables, lots of them. Another thing is like, we covered the canned stuff already. So don't buy the frozen, don't buy the veggie burgers thinking that you're doing yourself any good, because you might as well just be buying regular hamburgers and eating the regular hamburgers. It's the same crap. Carbohydrates are kind of a similar story where, you go down to the bread aisle, right? It's real cheap to get the white buns for your hamburgers, but buy the whole wheat, not just wheat, whole wheat. Buy the whole wheat. If you're going to eat bread, make sure it's not a white bread. That's a bleached flour. It's literally the worst kind. They take all the good stuff out of it and they give you all the crap. So whole wheat. I mean, tortillas, go with whole wheat. I actually don't have a problem with corn tortillas. Go those routes. All right. So let's look at what we got to take away from a couple of these things, and then I want you to add your 2 cents in on this, Jacob, because I know you had something you wanted to say and I haven't forgotten. So my takeaways. This is what I got from all this. One, documentaries are often anecdotal, and they only really supply you with some of the facts, but not enough to make an informed decision. Point number 2, it's not a good idea to live on meat alone. That is 100% true. And the more of the meat that is, if it's a processed meat, like eating a log of pepperoni is probably not a generally good idea versus a chicken breast. I think that's a no-brainer. I could be wrong, but that's I don't know. But the same is true for plants. The higher processing that takes place within the plants, probably the worse it is for you. If you can't get it in its whole natural form, you're not doing yourself any favor. Point number 3, whole plants should be consumed regularly. Yes, I do agree with this sentiment. And the thing is I'm not going to swear meat off altogether. There will be occasions where I have a big fat red ribeye. It's going to happen. I'm not swearing it off because, ribeyes are delicious. I'm not going to do it every day though. So just kind of take that into consideration. Everything in moderation. Same thing can be applied with alcohol. Just behave yourself with it. And don't just buy into this swear meat off altogether idea, because it's absolutely unnecessary, and it is a personal choice and it is a subjective choice. Your body might need the meat more than mine does. Point number 4, and this is kind of my big one here, is if a documentary has changed your life and you've done zero personal research on your own, you might likely have the mental depth of a mud puddle. It's very obvious to me that this documentary is made for one thing, and that's sales. It's a James Cameron movie.
Yep.
And, many people are going to be changing their lives for a month or two and potentially actually heal their bodies and that's a wonderful thing. That's great. I'm glad that you would take this documentary and consider some of the changes, because some of the changes are excellent. They're wonderful. But do your own research and test the theories before jumping in. And look, you didn't go and jump off the high dive before you learned how to swim, did you? Of course not, because you're not an idiot. You knew the drastic change in velocity and the panic that would affect your ability to adapt quickly and completely jump without getting hurt. So you have to understand how to swim before you jump into the deep end, especially off of the high dive. And I don't understand why anyone would drastically alter their diet without first some kind of trial and error, right? I mean, simply put, why would you do that? So the appropriate way to do this, if you're a big meat eater and you're not into vegetables at all, that's fine. Just kind of slowly edge some vegetables in and see how you feel after a period of 1 week, after a period of 2 weeks. Alter it further, and if it feels good for you, then the idea it becomes kind of like, oh, all of a sudden there's a subtle realization, like, I feel a lot better. My skin is clearer and I'm breathing easier. Something's different. But don't jump into this crazy idea that an extreme change needs to occur just because you watched a freaking movie. Talk to your doctor. Talk to other people who have changed their diets on a small level, on a grander scale. See what's worked best for them. If weight loss is your goal, then yeah, vegetables is probably a great way to go. And I do agree with the sentiment of eating less meat. I don't think you should eat meat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think that's crazy. But I also don't agree that a vegan lifestyle is permanently sustainable for everyone, because there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It doesn't exist. My rant is over.
The bottom line I took from this documentary is that number one, I didn't like is the ultimatum: either plant-based or you die. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the scare tactic here. And unfortunately for the naive and the uneducated, they're going to believe that. Mm-hmm. And two is, I like how they masquerade plant-based, even though you know what it meant, vegan. Yeah. Just another term. And man, it's being debunked everywhere, even Men's Health, which has its own agenda, but it's like, hey guys, listen here, don't take this and run with it. Because number one, you can hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're a bodybuilder and you're benching 500 pounds and all of a sudden tomorrow you're switching over to a plant-based diet for a week and you're benching and all of a sudden your arm snaps because it's not getting the right,
the right nutrients.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't happen over a week's time, but
no, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. It's ease into it. Don't just jump into this vegan diet and think that your life is going to change overnight. It's not that simple. And the anecdotal side of things is people will tell you, I went vegan and now I have all this energy. Well, of course you have more energy, dummy. You're consuming more carbohydrates. Duh. That's what carbohydrates do. They supply you with energy. But you see here, because there's another argument on the opposite side where they say carbohydrates are the enemy, right? You hear this a lot. Well, carbs are the enemy. You know who says carbs are the enemy? People who don't exercise.
Yep.
People who sit around all day long consuming potato chips.
The Jenny Craig people that just want to eat, and hopefully if they don't do anything, they drop the weight.
But yeah, Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, all those, do you know all those is just a way to trick your brain into eating healthy? That's it. They just developed a system around it where they just teach you, okay, this, like Weight Watchers has a points system. My mom did Weight Watchers years ago. They kind of told me about it and how it worked and blah, blah, blah. And it works. It does work because you've got a point system and it's based around getting you to eat a lot of vegetables because vegetables don't count as points. And it's the same concept. In fact, my aunt for a while, she was on Weight Watchers, and I went back and was visiting, and I didn't even recognize her when I saw her. She looked like a little teenage girl. I'm like, whoa, what happened to you? Because she's like, she went from big to where'd you go? And it was a drastic change, but she didn't sustain the change. As a consequence, today she's actually, and I don't know if she appreciates me talking about her or not. I mean, you can get mad at me and tell me I can't come to the family reunion or whatever. That's fine. But as a consequence of her drastic change over time, where she was heavy and then she lost a whole lot of weight and looked super skinny and super thin, and then stopped and went right back to the old ways, and now she's heavy again. Do you think that kind of drastic weight change is good for you? Of course not. For a while, she was healthy, but it didn't sustain. You cannot, people just can't do it. It's a mental thing. A lot of people just can't do the psychological satisfaction of, longevity on a vegan diet. Some people can do it. Many can't. And that's why I think you have to have a little bit of give and a little bit of take. It's great if you want to do the vegan thing. If that's your choice, if that's you, by all means, go ahead and do it. But you got to understand there's going to come a time where there's going to be a hamburger that's thrust in front of your face. And unless you're an ethical vegan, eat the damn hamburger. Just don't make a habit out of it.
Yep. Don't turn it into a habit.
Diet is not complicated. People make it complicated.
Yep, you hit the point there. And like again, now that I've seen all the producers and everyone there's a reason why there was over a dozen producers, because they couldn't get this kind of money from one individual to believe in something like this. So they had to go into, I would say, the liberal archives of Democrats, kind of get the pool money to make a documentary like this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that to me is saying that, number one, it took them a while to make this documentary, to find the funding for it. And number two, it's because there's probably some sort of fallacy in there. And that's why a lot of people were kind of like, no, I don't think I should be involved in a project like this.
So here's Redtired's take on it. Slow your roll. Try something different. Don't jump head first into anything. Maybe your body processes vegetables a lot better than others do. I know mine does. I love vegetables. I do. And because of it, I'm able to stay relatively thin. But at the same time, I need protein. And yes, you can get protein from vegetables. And yes, you can get protein from meat. Am I going to give up meat? Absolutely not. Am I going to give up animal-based products? Absolutely not. What I am going to do is continue eating vegetables and continue paying attention to the hunger pangs and the cravings and the things that my body is telling me, hey, I'd really like a salad right now. Okay, I'm ordering that salad. It's really that simple. And beyond that, just don't overeat. Beyond that, I mean, it really isn't that complicated. A lot of people, they fail to do one serious thing, is that they fail to pay attention to the amount of calories they're putting in. And then they say something like, well, I ate a salad. Yeah, you did eat a salad, but you put 700 calories worth of ranch dressing in the salad. Maybe tone it down a little bit. The ranch dressing will go a long way. Maybe put like 100 calories worth in it and just mix it all in together, and you'll still get the flavor of ranch. Or better yet, here's another thing you can do. I went to Sam's Club. They have a ranch seasoning that you can use. You can buy it and you can make your own ranch with it, whatever. But ranch dressing itself is very high in calories. However, the seasoning itself is very, very low in calories. It's 0. So what I do is, if I want a little bit of ranch flavor on some of my vegetables, I put that ranch seasoning on there. It's a 0-calorie seasoning. Bam, life hack. You're welcome. Jacob, any parting wisdom, parting words, anything you want to throw in there before I tell us to shut up?
Again, like we always tell our listeners, don't blindly follow something just because, hearsay, do your own research like we continuously do. And if you want to do something like this, we're not telling you not to be a vegan or not to have a plant-based diet or anything else like that. What we're trying to tell you is do it the healthy way. Talk to your doctor, talk to your primary care. And if you don't have a primary care, go to a dietitian. Make sure you do blood work and make sure it works for you. Number one thing these guys are all they worried about is that you purchased their documentary, and that is it.
That's it.
They made their money off of you. They don't care about your health or your well-being or how much money you're going to spend to go on this craze, and you find out it doesn't work properly for your body, or you end up in the hospital because your body wasn't just built for that. So make sure you do it the right way, and making sure you get the professional help, as in from your doctor, to make sure that you're doing it correctly. That's all I have.
That was beautifully said. And I don't know that I could add anything else to that to make it sound any better. Or could I?
Yeah.
Do some freaking push-ups.
All right. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye, everybody.